One of the most controversial claims of the miraculous currently under scrutiny is occurring right here in America in the state of Georgia.
Where is she? English, Spanish?
This is Conyers, Georgia.
Ave Maria.
It is here in this farmhouse at noon on the 13th day of each month that people come from all over the world to hear a special message. That message is delivered by this 46-year-old mother of two who claims to see and speak to the Virgin Mary.
I cannot restrain my son's hands.
Nancy Fowler says that she has been chosen to deliver a vital message affecting America and the world.
Come back to me now while there's still time. Sin breeds sin. If you choose the dark as a sin, then so shall you be in darkness.
Fowler says Mary has now returned with a new sense of urgency. Remember, according to theologians, Mary's one remaining prophecy concerns the annihilation of nations.
From China will come a great war. Do not trust China. Do not trust China.
Maybe that explains the thousands who converge here every month. Like at Fatima or Medjugorje, they themselves never see or hear the apparition. But many testify to witnessing their own miracles as proof. Again, the miracles often involve the sun.
The sun was a white disc, and there was like a small disc, white disc, going around it, and went around it 3 times.
It's a pure white light, and it's absolutely beautiful. And then when you stop looking, you turn around and you can see gold dust, and it's in people's hair, and it's on people's shoulders, and it's the most beautiful sight in the world.
Here, for the first time ever on network television, you are watching what some believe is startling proof that miraculous solar phenomena is indeed occurring over Conyers. Is this a miracle or another videotape effect? We went back to Camcorder Magazine's contributing editor, John Adler, who reviews camcorders for a living.
I've never seen this effect on a normally operating camera. If the camera was broken, it would still be very unusual for this to be occurring.
And seemingly hard to create. The sun definitely appears to be blinking. If this were an effect created by the camera, why would the blinking, which continues when the camera pans down to the crowd, suddenly have stopped when the camera points back up at the sun?
It's not something that you could create just by setting the camera to do it. You'd have to actually take the camera apart. You'd have to know the electronics of the camera in order to make it happen.
And the blinking sun is not the only mysterious spectacle taking place at Conyers. In this home video, taken while Fowler was allegedly communicating with Mary, ominous clouds suddenly began to gather. And take a look at this video, which cannot be attributed to the camera. These are actual rose petals falling from the sky. This apparently occurred in the dead of winter. Roseanne Kelly remembers the overwhelming smell of roses, which is something of a miracle itself.
I can't smell. I walk into a house and I couldn't tell you if somebody was cooking or they weren't cooking, or if you had perfume on or you didn't have perfume on.
If you have a lot of people with camcorders photographing events all over the world, that you have an increased chance of getting some very unusual footage, but at the same time you have an increased chance of getting some footage that maybe is not what it appears to be. So it's a double-edged sword.
A single picture or a single occurrence or a single anything does not prove that there is something miraculous or supernatural at work.
According to Nancy Fowler's spokesperson, George Collins, these are not one-time occurrences.
The witnesses speak for themselves. It's not something that say, oh, there's one witness that has experienced it, or there's one witness that experienced the spinning of the sun or the roses. There are numbers of them.
Many of those witnesses claim to see yet another miracle at Conyers in this statue. They say they can hear its heart beating inside. Fact or fiction? The real question, of course, has to do with Nancy Fowler herself.
Your false gods will fail you.
Here's a woman who says she is seeing an apparition. She's seeing something that you and I can be in the same room and we don't see. Question, is she making this up? Is she malingering? Is she doing this for secondary gain?
Dr. Ramon Sanchez has been practicing medicine as a neurologist for over 15 years. He was part of a team of doctors and scientists from around the world who examined Nancy. They used an EEG machine to study her brainwave patterns during her alleged apparitions.
The brainwave pattern will not change if you're lying. If you're saying you're seeing something that you and I don't see and you're just making that up, there will not be an EEG change.
Now I have a vision.
But every time Nancy claimed she was talking to Mary, the machine registered an extraordinary brainwave pattern called delta. It usually occurs only when a person is unconscious, not awake like Nancy.
We found a very unusual brainwave pattern that is, by all the things I was ever taught in neurophysiology, is supposed to be physiologically impossible.
The team examined other so-called visionaries and learned they exhibited the same brainwave patterns as Nancy while claiming to be in the presence of an apparition. The number of the pattern? 333. Interestingly enough, the same number as the Holy Trinity.
We realized that there was something going on here that we cannot explain. Science cannot explain this.
An hour and a half.
Sanchez and the team of doctors turned their findings over to the church and will let them continue the investigation. So how do you explain the thousands who continue to flock to this modern-day Fatima in Georgia? Are they like pilgrims everywhere, there because they believe Nancy Fowler can help bring them closer to God? Or is it the ominous message she is offering, which ultimately may be very frightening for all of us?
Time is running out. Repent, 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 or else you will suffer and suffer.